What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the LFC Toronto show. My name's Azaz. I'm going to bring in our guests in a second. But before I do that, I just want to know, is everyone okay? I know Sunday was tough. I know we're not used to it. It's been a long time. But yeah, I just wanted to have a PSA just to make sure all is well in the world. I know our chat's been a bit quieter this week. But you know what? Big game round the corner simply because we have to win. On that, I'm going to bring in who's already waiting in our little green room. We're fancier now. El Presidente, as he's known, Mr. Jake Lotta. How you doing, mate?
Good. Tough weekend,
Oh,
as you say. Tough
yeah,
weekend. But you know, of course, we live and fight another day. And this is
awesome. And also happy to bring back someone who's been on the show before. Liam is back with us as well. So, yeah, mate, how you been? It's been a while. I think it's been a whole season since we had you back on. So, how are things?
Good, thanks. Sapling boys.
Hey, Liam.
Good, mate. Ready to talk Liverpool? Ready to talk? We have to talk Arsenal. Ready to talk Burnley and all other stuff as well. I think Dan may or may not be joining us at some point as well. I think he is, but just give the man a second. And you know what? Let's just jump right into the Arsenal game. Now, I'm going to start with Liam because, if you do know the personalities within the Liverpool Toronto fan club, people pull from different sides, as they should. I think we've got hundreds of people in our, well, actually, that's a good segue there because we now have 1,000 members on LFC Toronto.
Beautiful.
So that's a really big deal. And we can give that a bit more attention later on. But in our community, in our WhatsApp chats, etc., we've got hundreds of people. So you're going to pull from different sides because otherwise it would be really weird. And Liam, you're probably one who pulls from, maybe a more realistic side or, like let them prove it first. And I know we're from like roughly the same era, roughly the same part of the world. So we know who terrorized our youth at times as well. So that probably has a little bit to play on it as well. But yeah, talk to us. Let's kick the ball off, kick it rolling, and tell us how you felt that Sunday went.
Oh
shit! Here we go. That's it.
Hello.
Yeah. Talking of grief, sort of Dan had to deal not only with the Reds' loss, but Guinea's loss over the weekend.
It was tough. It was a tough day. Yes, very much so.
Okay, Liam, leave Dan alone. Keep going, buddy. Keep going.
Yeah, go on, Liam, man.
I'm actually probably more sanguine about it than I was at the time. I think what bothered me sort of just in the immediate aftermath, and I know that pretty much everyone was feeling this, was just sort of deflated after what was quite an anemic performance, particularly given recently how we've been bang at it, for about a month now, and we've had the conversation before about how. Before Christmas, I thought we were sort of scraping by, but that wasn't the feeling over the last month or so. Probably from around the Newcastle game onwards, we were on a proper tear, and it was just deflating to see. No one was at it. I think probably the most compelling argument, and again, it's been mentioned here before, is about fatigue because none of the players in that game looked particularly fresh. I mean, I think probably Alexis McAllister and to a lesser extent Curtis Jones were closest, but even they were not at their best levels. No one.
No surprise with the Curtis Jones shout, but anyway.
No, but I did mention McAllister above, but that wasn't to say that Curtis played particularly well. I don't think anyone did. No one comes out of that.
But let me just ask you something, Liam. So, weren't we due a defeat? Now, let's keep it realistic as well from the context of before this Manchester City situation. at some points we've matched them as well for ridiculous runs. There's really only the Invincibles with Arsenal and then a Mourinho Chelsea who have had these ridiculous runs over and over again. We've done it now with Man City a couple of times. But if you speak to Man United fans, within the last 20 years, they'll say that their double winning team from 07-08, so League and Champions League, is the best team of the generation after 99. They lost 5 league games.
Ronaldo.
Yeah. And they lost 5 games that season. 5 games that season. And we just lost our second game. So as much as I agree with your analysis, were we due this defeat? Like, was it time? And we're going to the Emirates away. We had big moments go against us from people who we don't expect that to happen to. And then I don't think it'll happen again all season as well. This was the punch in the face that everybody needed. But also we were without Mo. Trent is not back to fitness. There's so many holes in the team as well. Was it unrealistic of us to expect to just roll up to the Emirates of all places and just turn them over so easily?
I think you're probably right. I think it was one where the absences started to catch up with us. We've been getting by so well without Salah that we thought we could sort of. I think what really knocked it out of us, and I think which is why we were so toothless going forward, was that the injury to Darwin. I think whatever else you can say about the sort of sometimes sort of inaccurate finishing, what he does do when he's at peak fitness, and the problem was that even when he came on Sunday, you could tell that he was not up to his level because he didn't really do much after coming on. But a fully fit Darwin stretches defenses in a way that I don't think any of our other attackers do. And with the best will in the world, Cody Gakpo doesn't have the pace in him to do that. So, and for all the reasons you said, it's just, it's a tough opponent. This is only our second league defeat of the season, and one of which has a great big asterisk next to it. So, yeah, these things can happen. I think the manner of it was a little disappointing, but the kind of game that Alisson has, the kind of game that Virgil van Dijk has, as you say, I don't think that happens again this season.
You know what's interesting as well is Alisson still made some amazing saves, including for the first goal. Like, that save for the first goal is actually a world-class match-winning save, to be honest. It just falls to Saka. And then in the second half, it's so harsh on Alisson because it is at even schoolboy level. It's a Virgil van Dijk mistake. Like, you never, ever let the ball bounce. And then Ali does make a mistake after that. Of course, I'm not absolving him of the blame, but I feel it's so harsh for Ali to be making some of the saves he made on Sunday and come out with a little bit of a calamity performance. But them the breaks. Before I go to Jake, I just want to say one thing is we've lost 4 games this season and Darwin Núñez didn't start any of those games. So that's actually a really big statistic just to show how integral he is now to our style of play, even if he is obviously quite wasteful in front of goal. Jake, on to you. Like, is there any positives you can draw from the game? Maybe Emirates game is out of the way, or like, is there anything we can cling to that will give us a little bit of, because it's only Tuesday. To be honest, to me, with the defeat being on Sunday, it's got to be at least Thursday, but it's not. It's Tuesday. We still got to wait 3 more days to correct this, 4 days actually to correct this. So is there any positives you can draw from the game?
I think, I've got a lot to say about the game, but
okay. Go for it. Go for it. This is your moment, Press.
From my aspect, with the 2 matches we played against them, right? I just would like to get some consistency in the reffing for whatever this case is. I don't care if it goes against us. I don't care if it goes for us. But I want the ref to do the even keel and just do that balance. Now, you cannot have this shit, Gabriel like pull on for Darwin. And then 30 seconds before that, Konate gets that shitty yellow and not have that balance. You can't have that balance. Like, you you're changing a flow of the game from that standpoint. And like, you know, whether it's the handball goal that we scored or the one that didn't get scored on and the other, the Odegaard one, I just want consistency, holistically speaking. And it's so funny that they like I mean, it's interesting to watch these teams play against us and watch how elated they are that they've won the fucking World Cup in beating us, right? This like that salty fat bastard on AFTV with the gap in his teeth, who was pouring the salt over the other day, saying we were salty. No, we you know, we appreciate that we had a shit game. However, you have to, in your punditry, state the fact that the ref has a big role to play in this game, either of them, from that standpoint. And of course, you know what? They won. Sure, they won. We had a shitty game, all holistically speaking. You know, those mistakes that Allison and Virgil make, I would have made that basically in grade 10, in like my schoolboy days from that standpoint. So we had some harshness from that. I do like the fact that we did get some run out from the players, even though they're still hurt. Like, you know, Robbo got a little bit, Trent got a little bit. You can see that they're a little bit lackadaisical from that standpoint. But like humbling speaking, you know, we got humbled. Second, I like to state the point where, like, you know, if Arsenal now has beat us as they have, and they want to be in this race because they always think that they're in the race, even though I don't think they are, regardless of the fact, they're going to have to go to Etihad and they're going to have to play a good game if they want to keep in this match, in this league, right? So I think that they're not going to be kind of pussyfooting around. They're going to try, right, from that standpoint. I think they'll get exposed. I think they're going to get, you know, used from KP in the middle, but nevertheless, they're going to have to play a full game. So that is a benefit to us, that they're going to be fighting against each other. And if someone's going to draw points, hopefully it is City, or maybe it's a draw, whatever the case is, but they're going to have to try from that standpoint. So that is a positive from there. But, you know, and again, our guys need to get humbled a little bit here and there, right? They need to. I didn't like the fact that the ref was just literally like, I'm not sure what kind of match he was watching when McAllister was just getting the shit kicked out of him, like, you know, all the time. And what was he doing? Again, it's all consistency. I'm gonna go like revved up because I was so charged up on Sunday when we did the CBC interview. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna say the wrong things on this interview, and then CBC's gonna catch us doing all kinds of nonsense. But you know, it's two losses. To Liam's point, it's an asterisk. We should not have lost. And again, in the first game when Trent hit that crossbar, we shouldn't have lost that match either. But nevertheless, right? I know we did, but nevertheless, we will fight another day. And I like the fact that, you know, we're going to keep going. And our boss was like, listen, it's done now. We've done it now, right? He had the press conference. He's like, we've done it. We're not going to repeat this. It's over. And nothing I can change about it. If the ref wants to do this, ref wants to do that. It is what it is. But I'm a bit salty from that standpoint, as that bastard was pouring the salt on the table. But, you know, Burnley's going to get some attention from us on the weekend, right? I feel for them, holistically speaking. But I'm going to stop on that point.
Yeah. Good segue for Dan, because Dan, I know you weren't too happy about the fact that Arsenal won the Premier League on Sunday. You know, all of those amazing celebrations, and I get it. We're emotional. It's an emotional football match, but was it overkill? Like, if you look at the run of fixtures, Arsenal have it all to do just to stay in contention by the time they roll around to the Etihad. Now, one of the things I was saying to one of our community members, Tony, was there is a positive. Jake touched on it as well, which is this means that game, which is now on the 31st of March, has some proper jeopardy from both sides. Otherwise, I could see Arsenal rolling into the Etihad and literally rolling over because they've now focused their whole attention on the Champions League. So that is one sliver of hope, I think, that can come from Sunday, because someone needs to help us beat City. Like, we can beat them at Anfield, but it would be nice if someone else can take a other point off them. But I know you had quite a few emotions on the celebrations, and it's continued. You know, we're now almost 2.5 days later, because the game was at 11:30 on Sunday, so it's 9:15 on Tuesday, and yet there's still memes and all sorts floating around. Talk to us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. First of all, I should just acknowledge off the bat that I just witnessed some personal growth today with Liam acknowledging Darwin's emerging presence in the squad. So I just wanted to say, thank you, Liam, for sharing that. And Liam is absolutely typing. So beyond that, I have recently switched employment. I've been taking some long drives up north to Collingwood and back and so forth. And so today actually was a really, really good day because I could listen to some of those podcasts and pundits and blah, 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 and longer shows and whatnot. And it was just on sort of repeat about this whole celebration issue, right? So obviously what set it off was a former Liverpool legend, Cara, right, with his comments on Sky, which Gary Neville, who's not by any means a Liverpool fan, basically co-signed. Where I agree with Cara and Neville is that act like you've been there before is basically the vibe that they were putting out there, which is you want a big match, maybe temper it a bit. So like that, I actually agree with. However, the other side, Robbie from AFTV, as Jake mentioned, I've watched sort of reaction videos, all that. Look, the whole salt thing, and the same thing could be said when that same DR Sports clip they had done bigger fish to fry because he had said that earlier, and it was a big, that's what they do. It's entertainment, right? But at the end of the day, they did have a point around, if you look at Klopp's antics too, it does sometimes rub, obviously not sometimes, a lot of the time, some of our biggest rivals the wrong way. I felt back in the day when he ran on the field after the Origi goal, it was amazing, but at the same time, I felt that was a step too far. It was a step too far. I mean, let's be real. Now, forget about all that. Did they over celebrate? I feel like they did. And there's 2 points of it. I'm treating this very serious, but it's actually really, really funny because I don't begrudge Arteta for running down the sideline and pumping his fists. Great, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Klopp does that. Managers do that. I get it. An ESPN pundit, Craig Burley, brought it up, which is actually very, very true. If you watch Arteta's positioning on the pitch, he's very much on the touchline, for the most part. He doesn't respect the sort of the training area or the area for coaches, right? So, and yes, a lot of coaches also do that too, but it can actually be very, very dangerous. And I actually think too, it plays a psychological part, especially when there's play going down that area. And we saw that with Tsimikas and Klopp, and there could have been bigger injuries and all that this year. But where I differ from their celebrations, obviously the Odegaard sort of picture and all that stuff was a bit of a, I get it was he was a longtime photographer, fan of Arsenal and that kind of thing. So it was a little bit of a playful thing. However, that I think is a little bit over the top. But the thing that really got me, and I'm not sure if you guys have read anything, because apparently there was a report about Klopp and Arteta getting into it after the match a little bit, in the closed area with the media or something like that, where he did the fist pump. And I thought that was really sort of a bit over the top. Maybe that's just because, again, we're close to Liverpool and Klopp does that with us. I just found it super tacky that he would do that. I get it. You want to pump up your fans, maybe, do something, but he did the exact same thing as Klopp. So it was almost like, I appreciate your passion, Mikel, but I think you were just trying to get more than what you really deserved in terms of getting a dig in as well. At least that's the way I felt. So I think it was a little bit over the top. What's really funny though, is that this could come back to really haunt them, because I just can't see Arsenal going 15-0, whatever the heck it is, between now and the end of the season. And as Jake and you guys said, that City match will be great for us either way, so in Europe as well for them. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that on the
once a blue shite, always a blue shite.
I think the issue I have with it more than anything, because I'm not even that bothered about if he wants to get in a snide dig. If that was what I have a problem with, is just how forced it seems to.
Yeah, exactly.
He's trying.
He's trying. Exactly. Yeah. No, you're right.
Well, they play West Ham on Sunday, so West Ham away. So this could all fall to pieces as early as Sunday. To be honest with you, that's not an easy game. Obviously, London derby. West Ham had a couple of performances recently where they're not going to be up to like they've not been up to their usual standard these days. Moisey is quietly having a pretty good season, and I think what that immediately means is life comes at you really quickly and really hard. And I don't even know if we're going to have to wait that long for this to proverbial bite Arsenal. But then on the flip side, if they weren't going up against the Man City 115 juggernaut, they could probably afford a couple more defeats from now till the end of the season. But, you know, at this point, a draw is a defeat. We know that. We've lost the league on a single point twice. And, you know, if they come away from the London Stadium on Sunday with a point, then immediately the work that they did this Sunday is kind of undone in the context of Manchester City, who were also the winners on Sunday. Because until there's a real team, until there's a team that can take City till the last game of the season, you've got everything to prove. Arsenal have everything to prove. And that's also why I felt it was a little bit over the top. Look, Tottenham players celebrated against us in September when they won. And, you know, I have a few friends and contacts who are Tottenham fans, and they were like, no, we've kind of been doing something similar all season. Like, I think it's a Ange thing. It just wasn't on TV. Cool. Like, fine. By the time November rolled around, it all fell to pieces. And apart from Gary Neville, no one really thinks that Tottenham have a chance of finishing above Liverpool or even Arsenal and City at this point. So that's the other thing that Arsenal have to navigate as well, that they've done this, they've made their statement, but now immediately in the very next game, they've got a huge target on their back. And that's what West Ham love to do. Like, West Ham love to mess things up. And West Ham beat them at the Emirates, or at least they definitely took points of them. They beat them.
And the big point with that is, and I think somebody else brought it up, is that Arsenal can they were impressive. Look, like don't get it twisted. I think they played well and they controlled a little bit of the match. I think the Jorginho holding sort of position was there. But the one thing that they struggle with is when a team is not like Liverpool and bring their line up, right? Play that high line and really be at them so that they can run behind. When you're facing that low block from West Ham and Fulham and whoever else, good luck, especially when you don't have, you know, Jota the Slot or some of those sort of more prolific players. So let's put it to the test. You want to run your mouth about Havertz and all these, you know, like fucking players. Like, bring it.
That's another diving bastard, that one man, piece of shit.
Yeah.
Well, as you mentioned, the one thing that's got said about Arsenal quite a lot is that they do tend to have these games that are just like sterile domination, and that's where it really comes undone, as you say, is these sides that play a low block, and you know they'll just do their thing, sort of passing from one wing to the other. If Martinelli or Saka can get any sort of opportunities to go one-on-one against the fullback. And if that doesn't happen, then they can just get in this holding pattern where they don't score for 90 because of that.
They run out of ideas for sure. That's why I think you know, it was a big match for them. But you know what? The other flip side on the whole Liverpool introspection, if you want to call it that, we didn't play well, but the one criticism that I felt was beyond the abject mistakes, if you want to call it that, was I didn't think that it would go like this season, where we would have like Virgil in his first year of captaincy and everything. And I don't want to harp on him too much. It's one mistake.
It's one mistake.
A couple of things, right? But the one thing that I've always felt with his defending, like, if there's anything to pick at, is, and it's worked in the past, so I can't even criticize that much, but is this notion of being a little bit too casual, like, and not even casual within the play. It's also casual when it comes to starting a big match. And what I mean by that is, if you look at where Ali's ever struggled, right? Like in any match, when has he ever really struggled? Maybe once against like Huddersfield or West Brom way back when or whatever. But it's really City.
There was a similar something in a Fulham game. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. That one. Yeah. But the real opponent that troubles him is City. At the end of the day, like, he's played some loose passes, loose balls. Okay, it doesn't happen often, but it's happened more than and Virgil. Virgil with City, I think it's a harder one to make, but it's just that casualness a little bit of like, and that's where I think we should nip in the bud. I think they will. I feel really bad for Burnley this weekend. I honestly do. They're gonna.
Sorry, go Jake.
Dan, I just want to say something from a fellow center back that I used to be at one point in time, my fledgling football career. Sometimes is when you're a 6'3", 6'4" guy, and you're galloping like the horse, the stud that he is. It looks like, because he's taking such a stride, it looks casual from that standpoint, right? But I mean, don't get me wrong. It like, I think he could put in a bit more effort, and he's a bit calculated from that standpoint. But because he's such a big man, and he's looking at the pace of that guy, knowing that he can get there, he's kind of confident in himself. I know from the speed perspective, like I know a lot of big footballers that have played in the back that are just like that. Whereas like they look like they're just kind of striding along, like no effort and pace, but they're actually going pretty fast, right? But to the blind eye, it's like looks like, oh, he's lackadaisical, he's just kind of not trying, whatever else. But I think
it wasn't so much. It wasn't so much on the second goal where there was the whole thing. I mean, that one is a different era, but it was the third goal that really it's like that type of play when it's
Trossard is another bastard. He's a great player. Trossard is a great player, and he has our number, the bastard. But nevertheless, anyways. Oh, Zazu, you're saying something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I do think Arsenal played well, but like I would love to see them play that way if we were at the races too, though. And I know you can say that about any game. Like it's easy. People can break down our performances like that. Oh, like you beat Chelsea 4-1, but Chelsea didn't show up and blah, blah, blah. So I think from our perspective, like looking forward, we can't look forward beyond the summer at this point because we don't know what that is. If Jurgen was in charge next year, my challenge, what I would like us to see is, go to the Emirates and the Etihad and play our game, or play a different game and like not be worse off, like I think that's where I struggled with our Emirates and Etihad performances. What was it? Like I don't get what it was, like in the FA Cup game they cut us open a bunch of times and they only didn't take the lead because of bad finishing or whatever, choking, all the stuff that people can level at Arsenal. Same thing at the Etihad. Like we rolled up to the Etihad, we got a point with a 1-1, kind of like a smash and grab, I guess, but we never really imposed ourselves on the game. And look, you can win the league by being the better team in 36 games. We were better than Arsenal at Anfield overall. They started well, I get it, they got the first goal, but Liam, you were there, I was at the game as well. Like territorially, possession, everything, we were way better than Arsenal. And I think we will show up against Man City. That doesn't mean that they won't beat us, smash and grab, all that stuff. I think we will represent. But the two games this season, I think we've almost kind of been a bad version of ourselves because I don't really know what we're trying to do. And yet, I also have to say that Jurgen wasn't exactly peppered with options this weekend. Bradley's on form. Bradley can't play. Trent's rusty. Yeah, Trent's rusty. Robbo's rusty. Exactly. Sobo, Mo, Darwin. So I get it. I think it's one of those things where if you have 36 games where you're the better team and 2 games you don't, try not to lose them. We didn't lose one of them. We lost the second one. We can't let we can't let Sunday define us. That's the thing. Arsenal are letting Sunday define them up till now, and they've got something to prove. Luckily, we've got bottom of the table coming up now on Saturday. And the cool thing is it's not a TV game in the UK, so there's going to be a little bit less eyeball pressure on Saturday as well. It's a 3 p.m. in the UK blackout game, so it's almost like you couldn't ask for more. It's Anfield. It's they'll come home and the home crowd will give them some love. So let's start looking forward.
Sorry, just one last point on the game. Just want to throw it out to you three. Just one last thought on it. Before the Virgil Allison mistake, right? So at that point we came into the second half really, really well, right? We started really well. Each of you, I just want to know what would have been your prediction if that mistake didn't happen? Like, do you think we would have won that, drawn that, lost it? I mean, just hypothetically, I'm just curious about that.
Liam,
So
Liam,
before
you
the
go
mistake
first.
at that point.
I think it would have ended exactly as it was. I don't, apart from that sort of brief sort of flurry of like half, not even real chances, but like half chances at the beginning of the second half, we kind of faded into nothing after that. To be fair, I don't think Arsenal were creating much against us until that really uncharacteristic sort of communications breakdown between Virgil and Alisson. And I think if that error doesn't happen, I think we draw the game. And think, we've come away from a difficult away fixture with a point.
That's what my feeling was, but I don't know, Jake, what do you think about that? Really quick, sorry, I don't want to.
I mean, I'm always, of course, on our side from that standpoint, right? But I mean, from their side, I like Martinelli, like he's a great player. I think that some of his finishing and final touches is what like makes him just this player versus this player. He had our number on a couple of occasions on this. We let him kind of play that role. And again, Trent was a bit lackadaisical from that standpoint, but I did think that because we started off quite well, I thought that when we were going to make some subs, we could have been, got something of the role of the ball here and there. And I thought at least we could have got a draw. But we put on Thiago, we put on some folks, got some minutes. It was what it was, So
impartial defense of Trent. I'm not saying he played at all well because he didn't, but what I would say is that the substitutions did not help in that regard. But Martinelli was skinning, Joe Gomez and Harvey Elliott just as much. So I think it was something that he had our number regardless.
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry,
Completely agree. Yeah, I'm just going to echo what everyone else said on that. Great question, Dan. I think it was just going to fade into a 1-1. I probably would have taken 1-1 before the game. I certainly would have taken 1-1 if you had said to me, do you take a draw against Arsenal if I guarantee you'll beat City? And I always thought we would have to beat City to win the league, So I don't think that much changes from that context. Like from the way I look at it from now, sitting here on this February the 6th, we lost a point because it was 1-1. I don't think we were going to win the game. Sorry. So I think we dropped 1 point the other day, not 3. And that would have meant, by my previous theory, we have to beat Man City anyway. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really know if we should let that game define us. There was a lot to talk about, which is why we've chatted about it for half an hour. It was the biggest game of the season so far. So there's no getting away from the fact that there was lots to talk about, lots to break down, lots to analyze, including all the post-game shit. But the truth of the matter is, we just have to go back on another one of these runs, and preferably wins, but certainly unbeaten, because as I was saying before, a draw in a title race against Man City is a defeat. But like, I don't see them finishing above us. I'm sorry to say, like, we've got goals everywhere. We've got players missing, I don't like Martinelli missed the first one. Like, Alisson saved it. They got the follow-up. And then the second one is a complete open. They scored 2 empty nets before the Trossard one even happened. Yeah. So not every team's going to give them that. And to your point, Dan, this is because Liverpool wanted to play but couldn't play based on personnel, Arsenal's performance, all of that stuff. West Ham ain't going to give them those chances. Like other teams are not going to give them those chances. They got to play Newcastle before they play City. I think they got to play Chelsea, and we can all laugh at Chelsea, but like, they every now and again show up, and they almost beat Arsenal the first time. That was a draw with a Declan Rice wonder goal. That was a keeper mistake. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with it as it is. We dropped a point the other day, and we've got to keep it as it is, and then move on to Saturday, which is the perfect segue. So, Liam, in your opinion, like, what happens now on Saturday? Is it back to normal Anfield business? Is there anything you're nervous about, or like anything? Because as far as I'm concerned, I think we are just going to roll in and put on a professional performance and take the 3 points. But is there anything jumping out in your mind that we should be afraid of?
Well, I think if it was a more sort of hardy, resilient, like a really nasty side, because you can play bottom of the table sides and then really put the boot on you. But, Burnley are seemingly having an identity crisis because they came up playing this sort of expansive football, which Company has now sort of thrown out the window. So I don't even know what Burnley are about. I don't think they know what they're about, quite frankly. So yeah, I agree with everyone's point that we don't need to be too fatalistic about this. That defeat is not terminal for our sort of chances in the league. We are still sort of very much alive in the title race, and I would expect us to sort of, after probably our weakest performance of the season, I would expect us to go harder, better, faster, stronger in this one. So,
oh, you're on mute? Yeah.
I'm like, Liam went in with the Kanye there.
Kanye, I was just gonna say that.
Or Daft Punk. Yeah. Either or. Jake, anything to add to what Liam just said?
I think he's bang on with respect to the identity crisis that companies had on that squad. They're trying to play this way, trying to play that way. Who knows what's going to come out from that standpoint? I think that we do, as your points, we play a professional game. I don't know who starts. That's going to be a very interesting one, right? Like who's going to be playing, who's fit, what's going to be there, and who's going to come back. Endo come back. Like who I don't know who's going to be playing from that standpoint. Do they get rest? It'd be very interesting to see what he's going to put out there. Is Darwin okay from that standpoint, from an injury perspective? Who's going to play in the middle? McAllister got his ass kicked the other day with all the Arsenal fouls. Is he going to be okay? Is he ginger? Like, I'm not sure how they trained this week from that standpoint, or they are training this week. So I think I predict like a 3-0 win from our side from that perspective. So that's what I'm thinking. Dan?
Just on that point, actually, Jake, who do you think starts in our midfield on Saturday? Because that's a really interesting question. It's like, not only in terms of who's coming back, but who's still missing. Because the Soboslai one, we're hearing various things about how long he's going to be out for.
Yeah, because they said he was like, there was a sickness, and now they're saying 2 to 4 weeks. I'm not sure from that standpoint. Does Thiago get a run?
I think Harvey. I think Harvey.
Yeah, I always love Harvey because Harvey tries hard, right? He's running around all over the place. Mm-hmm. He tries, like he gives it his all from that standpoint.
Yeah, because if you look at
it is going to be interesting. Like Gravenberch had a kind of a shitty game this last one, so I'm not sure.
He's kind of struggling at the moment. I don't know if it's sort of like acclimatizing to the system, but there's something that's just not quite right yet there with him.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of casualness, I think, with him, sort of as well. Meaning, like when you're playing a big opponent, whether it's City or Arsenal, if you want to, they're the two biggest ones. You can't be like every possession. You got to treat that as like, you can't just be loose with the ball, right? Kind of thing. And I think he was too casual as well. I don't know. Maybe it's a Dutch thing with like Gakpo and him and VVD. I don't know, but anyway, yeah.
So Minamino did play for Monaco. He came on for Monaco on the weekend. Now that's not a criticism of Endo, because Minamino didn't play in the game against Iran. So Minamino was on the bench for Japan. Then he flew back to France and he came on because he's obviously match fit. So he came on against I don't remember who they were playing, but he came on for Monaco. So that means that Endo can go a week later. Like there's no reason why Endo can't go, particularly if we've got a situation where we need him. So that's another option to think about. I personally would do McAllister, Curtis, and Harvey, and Endo's on the bench ready to go. Thiago came on, definitely was passing. I love Thiago. Like I don't have anything negative to say about him, but he definitely passed to Arsenal a few times. And how can you not be rusty? How can you not be rusty? Like you've not. Yeah. So from that standpoint, like I think Elliot, I prefer Elliot as an impact player. I really do. Like I prefer him coming on. I think he's got a great career ahead of him for us. But even if it's not for us, like I think he's going to have a wonderful career. But at the moment, I think I think he's our best impact player other than Jota, and Jota has to play at the moment. So I don't think Darwin's as good off the bench as he is from the start. And yet, everyone knows my feelings. Like, I think Darwin is the second name on the team sheet if all the attackers are fit. So that's not a criticism of Darwin. I just don't think he gets into the game when he comes on anywhere near as much as he does from the start. But Elliot does. He's got this like really sixth sense of picking up like what's happening. He apparently really watches the game really closely as well. I think we miss a trick. Yeah, we miss a trick when he starts, but I wouldn't start anybody else in a home game against the bottom team. Okay, folks, prediction times then. Dan, you can go first. What you thinking?
I think it's a 2-0. I don't think it's going to be like a blowout. 2-0, sort of more of an edgier match, I would say.
Yeah.
And we just have like the classic later goal, 80th minute onward to seal it. Excuse me.
Yeah. Liam?
I think it's likely to be more comfortable than that, just because Burnley are bad, like seriously bad. So I can see this being like the goals might come late, but I don't think there'll be any point where we really look sort of like majorly under threat. I think it's probably like a 3-0 where maybe the third goal comes in like the 70th or 80th minute.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think the same thing. I think it's a 3-0 for sure. That's my prediction, 3-0.
And in terms of the fact that we then don't play for another 7 days, is there anyone you're chucking in on Saturday, or you just think give everyone just another chance, like to get better? Like I guess
I want Trent and thing to go in.
Okay. So you would play those.
I want Trent and Robbo to get a good. I want them to have 45 minutes of good football.
Yeah, and I think that I actually think that that's really important, because if you think about it, there's 19 days to the cup final, right? So like get those players into match like conditions. So by the time that comes around, hopefully you'll have most of them available, right? So that's coming up. Like that's not too far off. Get your popcorn ready, as they say. Get your tickets, or get your red bands at ENC.
Red wristbands. Yeah. The only thing I'll say is for everyone watching from our community, this is your last week off, really, other than international breaks. Like once Saturday comes around, you have a week to go. After that, it's back to that craziness of basically 21-22, where we may be seeing each other every 3 or 4 days, depending on if Dr. Klopp has appointments and all that good stuff. Because I thought February was going to be super light, and now they've squeezed the Luton game before the Carabao Cup. And then there's the FA Cup game after the Carabao Cup, which is also still in February. So we were meant to have 4 matches in February. Now we've got 7 matches in February. So completely like throws the whole thing for a spin. Jake, any official business to take care of? I know we've got t-shirts, we've got scarves, they're all going.
The merch is beautiful, as you created some great product and it's flying off the shelves. A few things, kudos to the team and the community that we have 1,000 members, which is fantastic to say the least. We're just onwards and upwards to be the best OLC in the entire world. I just want to state that out. We also have our Anfield wrap that's coming along from that standpoint. So there's not many tickets left, so please do get them. It was a great event when they came here, so please get them and support the audience from that standpoint. We did have a plan for going to the Sly Fox on our bus trip, but now with the schedule, we're going to have to revamp that a bit, but that's upcoming as well. And then again, we're trying to find a legend to come over here, and we're kind of close, so who knows what's going to happen from that standpoint. Also, to you and the CBC interview you did, there's a rumor that LFC is coming to North America this summer, so we may have a cheeky little road trip on the way. So from that standpoint, there's a lot of good things coming in the next couple months.
Yeah, it's gonna be eventful. So Saturday's the one. You'll get a break after that one, and then after that, things are going to come thick and fast. Obviously, we can't take the international break off because that's when Anfield Wrap are in town. We've got Europa coming back. We've got the Carabao Cup final on the 25th, which is just going to go off, obviously. Like, look at how things have been in Elephant and Castle and Fly Fox on regular Premier League games, and now we've got I mean, we got to treat everything because of the Klopp announcement as this could be the last final. Of course, absolutely could be the last final. Like, nothing saying we're getting to the final of the other two. We think we can, but that doesn't mean we will. So I think that's going to be amazing occasion too. Guys, I know it's late. Thanks to everyone for joining. And yeah, Liam, thanks for dropping back in. We got to get you back on again soon.
Yeah.
And
I'll come on anytime you'll have me.
Cheers.
We'll have you again soon. Yeah. All the best, guys. Bye.
All right. Up the Reds.
Up the Reds.